Hey, it's your girl Nicole, and you're listening to a new episode of the Risers Hub podcast. 2025 is here, and many of us are creating resolutions, starting a new plan, and making moves to get what we want out of life right now. Today, we are graced by the presence of Nia Akins, Olympic runner, USA 800-meter champion, and my first rugrat in life. She'll
Mm,
be joining us throughout the year, and we've coined these episodes as the empowerment episodes. These episodes will help us all understand the process of becoming stronger and more confident in accomplishing the goals we set for ourselves. And let me put out a disclaimer, and Nia, please correct me if I'm wrong. I am not perfect, and you are not perfect. And in fact, we both have encountered a lot of ups and downs, ins and outs, and what we can attest to though, is that we have never given up, and we are always picking ourselves back up, and we keep pushing forward. So, what do you think about that?
yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody's perfect. We're all learning and experimenting and growing. But yeah, I think we do a good job of continuing to just keep pushing through some hard things. Yeah.
Yes. Because life is always throwing hurdles in, at least in my way. I don't know what it's trying to do for you, but somehow we're trying to get through it all the time. We're fighting those hurdles. We're jumping over them. We're navigating around them. I think that's one strength that we actually have, um, between me and you and your sister and our family, is that we just don't give up. We just keep fighting the good fight. So, but today, what we're going to talk about is, making a change, or if you're not making a change, you're just trying to maintain what you're trying to get to. I think Nia is the perfect example of creating goals and then maintaining those goals throughout a track year. Even with your music, even with your personal life, you've been really good at maintaining your own personal motivation to move forward. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So, Nia, when you start every track season, um, how do you kind of lay out your goals? And then once you start working towards those goals with those ups and downs, how are you maintaining it?
I think so the new year for me kind of starts in the fall in between track seasons. And immediately at the end of, the previous track season, I already have in my mind like the things that I want to do better, more
Mm.
so than the things that like I did wrong. More I think about where I want to be. And then I start to work backwards and say like, okay, what little things can I change or what little things can I improve on to get a little bit closer next year or to get there. And sometimes, that looked like nutritional changes. Sometimes that looks like lifestyle changes or even just like little changes in training too. And just like talking with the people that I'm working with and working together to figure out how we can best just move forward and just be a little bit better than the year before. And then, yeah, I think holding myself accountable is just like a daily check in. Like, what am I doing right? And then obviously too, there's like new things that kind of come up throughout the year too. And it's like, how do I stay on track even you know, when there's like a new obstacle or not even a new obstacle, like what happens if I like reach the goal sooner, like than I
Mhm.
thought than I thought I was going to. It's like, what do I do then? It's kind of about having like multiple plans as well to kind of stay motivated. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like what you're saying too. Yours starts in August, and you're thinking, well, she had a whole track season to see where her mistakes were, where she wants to improve. It's kind of just like life. I mean, what's great about your own personal life is that you can start over whenever you're ready to start over. If you make a mistake,
Mhm.
you have an opportunity to fix that mistake, or start all over again the next day. So I think that a lot of times that many of us are really hard on ourselves once we stumble or make a silly mistake at work, or
Yeah.
the presentation didn't go right, or we said the wrong thing to a good friend. Like, you can't always go back, like you said, and be accountable for your actions and fix those things. What can you say that helps you get through it when you have a horrible workout or the whole week didn't go well for you?
Yeah, I think for me, I kind of like keep purpose above everything, like why I'm doing it. Like this week, for example, I got a little cold,
Mhm,
but I'm not gonna let that. I'm still gonna rest and accept that. Okay, that's what's going on right now. My body's priorities have slightly changed,
mhm,
but if I'm feeling like well enough to get up and go train, then like I'm gonna go train because I know that like a lost day, like, means something, like, that kind of, like, adds up over time. So I've been really blessed this week to, like, still get the rest that I need. It just honestly, the timing was kinda perfect. Like, the day that I was most sick was an off day anyway.
mhm,
And I was able to kinda take it a little bit easier than normal, but still, like, not really miss much or not
mhm,
really miss anything, to be honest, but I just don't feel as powerful as I maybe normally do. But yeah, it's kind of like about putting the purpose like first is okay, I'm doing this because I want to win championships and make teams. So like
mhm,
even when it's hard, like that's still the that's still the end goal. And I know that like these little things kind of add up. I was listening to a really good sermon that was kind of talking about how like procrastination like isn't the actual problem. If you believed that doing this thing would make you better, then you would do it without a doubt. It's like
mhm,
the belief system. It's if you don't believe that you going to the gym, like, every day is going to make you, like, lose those 10 pounds that you wanna lose or just feel healthier, be whatever
right,
person you wanna be, then if you don't believe that that's gonna happen, then you're gonna procrastinate, you're gonna put it off, you're not gonna do it.
mhm,
So, like, the at the end of the day, that's where, like, the purpose comes in is you have to believe that you can actually achieve your goal before you, like, set the little, like, steps in order to get there, and that's, like that has to go first is, "Okay, what's my purpose? Do I believe in my purpose?
mhm,
Okay, then how do I, like, get there?" So I kinda, like, work backwards from that,
mhm.
if that makes
And
sense.
I also yeah, it does, it makes a lot of sense, and I think too, we are so bombarded with social media and how people look and how things are perceived, and we don't really know what goes on behind, closed doors, and I think that when we see the end result, a lot of us think, "Oh, there's no way that we can do that," or there's no way we can, be at this level or look this way or feel that way." And at the end of the day, those people that are posting that stuff or showing that stuff in public, they've gone through something to get there. They've had to do something, they had to do some type of work to get to where they are. And that's the one thing that I think that a lot of people don't realize. And when you put the work in, you're going to get results. Um, the one thing that you mentioned was purpose. So I'm going to challenge you a little bit because I know that, it's easy for me and you to talk about running because that's what we have been doing most of our lives. But how do you feel when you're challenged with your music? Because I know that there are
Mhm.
times where you want to put something out there. And let's talk about like your previous music that you've done before. You had a lot of ups and downs and you've had a lot of decisions that you've had to make when recording those songs and people love them. People
Mhm.
always tell me, "I have your daughter's thing on Spotify," but they don't know like what it took to get there. And when you're creating something, that's even more than just like your physical strength. That's like that's everything. Like my art is everything to me. So you're in singing and playing the guitar and things like that you do. That's everything for you. So how do you how do you stay motivated to put something out there even when it's scary?
Yeah. I mean, with music, it's I don't know, I feel like it's funny, I don't really use the word, like, motivated. It's more I think it's, "Am I courageous enough to do this?" Then it's
Mm,
also, does this actually make sense? Do I want to release this song? Do I have to release this song?
mhm,
And I think for me, there were some songs that I, like, chose not to release and I chose to lay down because the timing just wasn't right, it just didn't
mhm,
make sense, and then also I just didn't really like the heart posture that it came from, and so, yeah, I changed my mind, and that was really hard, and I looked back at some songs that I had released before, and I felt similarly about those songs where I was like, I worked really hard on them, and they're honestly some of my favorites just because I don't know, it's kind of like with track or like anything in life, It's like you go through something hard, and if you're able to put it into your work or channel it, you can really produce something. And with
Mhm.
running, it's you run a really fast time once, even if it's like you run a fast time because you were angry. With music, it's you write that song and that's out there like forever
Well,
and
it's
that's
live
attached to
challenging
those
you, yeah.
emotions. Yeah. So I guess that's where that like challenge comes in. And I just decided that I didn't want to be that person. And I also just like wasn't that person anymore. So I just was like, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna commit to being this artist. I feel like I kind of set a goal of like I wanted to be this kind of artist, and then I removed songs that I felt didn't align with that. And I know it upset a few people because I got some DMs like the song disappeared. Where is it? But there was like a purpose to it. And then there were some songs that I was going to release that I changed my mind on. But then there's like new songs that I'm writing that are very different. I mean, I haven't been feeling really great. So I've just been kind of like in my apartment making music. And I just got off the phone with the producer that I work with today. And we put together a new one and it is very different. But like, I'm very proud of it because I feel like that the purpose behind it and the artist that I really wanted to be and it is like embodied in that work. And I feel like I have people around me that are, like, really supporting that mission as well, and, like, when they're listening to it, they're like, "Okay, I really this aspect of it, I really like how you, like, surrendered yourself in this way." So, yeah, it's been a journey, but as I just joined the worship team at church, and that has been a challenge because I felt specifically like I was praying over what to, like, where to serve, like, vocals, key like, backup keys, whatever, guitar, and I felt like it was specifically, like, the acoustic guitar, which has been, like, a challenge for me, to be honest. I think, like, just playing the guitar and not singing with it, and it's been, like, a challenge, but then it's also allowed me to be a little bit more creative on the guitar.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, and yeah, so it's just I think having a purpose behind it, like being a part of a team, like being a part of the band has brought so much purpose to music, to be honest. So yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about putting something out there and you're scared because a lot of people,
Yeah.
so many things that a person wants to do, but they literally allow fear to stop them. And there's a shirt, I think we've talked about this before, that you wear. Was it something about no
I know.
fear? Yeah.
It was a sweatshirt. It's let fear control nothing.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that that's really huge. And every time I think about that phrase, I think about, oh my gosh, you were a tiny little thing. You and your sister were tiny little things. I think I was doing one of my first duathlons or something. And I was out there with the crowd of people getting ready to start the race. And I looked over at you and you just looked like you were so scared for me. And then now that the tables have turned in a much bigger way, I watch you and I'm like always so scared for you. And
Yeah.
talk on how you through that fear because it's just there's just so much at stake when you do toe the line or when you are ready to put that album out or for me to put artwork out there because there're going to be people who say things and there's nothing that you can do about it. You have to let them be who they are. But how do you personally get through it?
Yeah. I think music is so different than anything. It's been very good for me too, and for this reason is it's like, um, I don't know. I think back to this verse all the time, like the Lord does not give us a spirit of fear. And I try and like really think about, okay, why am I afraid? Like, where is this fear coming
Mhm.
from? Is this a conviction fear? Am I afraid because this is wrong? And if the
Mhm.
answer is no, then there's no reason for me to be scared. Like, I
Right.
have to like jump that hurdle. And I feel like there's tension if I'm like scared. I'm like, I don't know if this is right. Then that's a different story. It's
Right.
best to like wait and like think it through. But most of the time, our fear is like, it's not our own fear. It's like society's pressure on us or like what somebody like might say about us or might think about us.
Mhm.
And it's been very good for me to step into being an artist because like with running in particular, and I think like it's one of the few sports that are kind of unique in this way, is it's yeah, there's skill involved, but it's just numbers. So like you see a time, it's pretty black and white. Like you see a time you think it's fast or you don't
Nowadays
think
it
it's
is.
fast.
Yeah.
Versus with music, it's like, you know, it's
It's so
good or it's
personal.
bad depending on the person. Yeah, depending on whether or not you connect with it, not
Mhm,
necessarily if, like, the music itself is good or bad. I feel like that kind of, like, criteria lies beneath, like, am I actually connecting with this? Is this
mhm,
something that I like? So I think I have to, like, surrender caring about what other people think and, like, surrender, like, this desire to perform, if that
exactly.
makes sense, and just
Mhm.
kind of, like, just be myself and just express myself through whatever I'm recording or, like, whatever I'm writing or producing and stuff. So, yeah, I kind of forgot, like, what we were talking that my train of thought just kind
No,
of, like
no, that's fine. We were talking about fear and how to get through it,
Oh,
and
yeah. That's where
yeah, and
it
I mean,
started.
you were
I was like,
answering.
"Forget fear." I don't even
Yeah,
remember we
so
were
we
talking
kinda
about
forgot
fear.
fear,
What's
yeah.
that? No, I definitely I remember um, the first song that I ever honestly, speaking of track, the first race of the year, I am always most afraid or more nervous than the last race, than, like, the Olympics or Olympic trials. It's always that first race that means, like, nothing because it's like, and it's true, like, that's literally been a while since I've raced, and, like, between the Olympics or Worlds or, USA's or whatever, and that first race, I have made all of the little changes that I told or big changes that, like, I told myself I was going to make to risk getting better next year, and
Right.
I don't know if it worked out or so, like, that first race is always the one where I'm like, "What if this? What if that? What if that?" So, like, that's where that fear comes in,
Mhm.
and, like, I feel like I'm really bad at being like, "What if it works out?"
Yeah.
Like, what if all of the changes I made were, like, perfect and were good for me and I'm
Yes.
gonna do better? And I've been very blessed in my track career so far that, what is every single year, I've gotten just, like, a little bit better.
Mhm.
Um, and there've just been, like, little minute changes over time. This year, we'll see because it's a bigger change. Like, it's like that could jump between high school and college or college to pro. It's like one of
Right.
those kinda years. But yeah, and, like, with music, like, the first song that, like I remember the first time I, like with Smoke, where, like, under my own
Great
name, I
song.
was, "Hey, guys, I write music," and the song that I wrote was terrifying, and a lot of my friends were like, "Are you okay?" Because it was so different. Because a lot of them didn't know, like, I came out of the other side of COVID, like, writing music because I
Yeah,
always wanted to play
yeah.
guitar, and I, like, took the opportunity with COVID. Um, so yeah, there was a lot of, like I feel like in that moment, I was like, "Okay, like, there is this image of me that has persisted for years,
Mhm.
and, you know, after I do this, that image could completely change for better or worse. I don't know, depending on the person, but I can't, like, let that deter, like, what I wanna do. I wanna, like, share music and I wanna be an artist. I can't, like, be afraid of what people think, and I think that's the biggest fear for me is, like, the fear of what other people might think. Because we were saying there's always gonna be roadblocks. You're gonna take a step and then fall or whatever, and, okay, are you gonna let fear prevent you from getting back up, or are you just gonna keep going, you know?
And
So
yeah, and I think with your generation, you guys have so many more. What are you laughing at? We have so many more opportunities, and the reason why this is why I'm saying what I'm about to say. It's not a far fetch that Nia plays guitar, plays piano, and sings. The singing maybe, but it's not a far fetch because if we go back in our family history, my grandmother, she sang in the choir, and she did it for community and she did it for friendships, but she sang in the choir. My mother is an excellent seamstress. She can sew anything for
yeah,
anyone at any
that's
size.
she's my whole
She is
closet is
creative.
my grandma's
Yeah. I
handiwork.
mean, she's extremely creative and
She's
she's
got
extremely
style.
yeah, she's got great style,
Yeah.
and she's been sewing for years, and growing up, she made all of our clothes. When we wanted to go out and get designer stuff, she's like, "I can make it," and she made it.
Yeah.
My father is a very talented artist. He would never tell anyone that, but he is an exceptional, sketcher, drawer. He can build anything. So you come from a family of very craftsman-like people, and so there's no reason for us to be afraid to put that out there. I think that people put us in boxes and they see us a certain way. And then when they find out, "Oh, you do this and you do that," it's just like, "Wait, what do
Yeah.
you
We
mean you
put
do all this?"
ourselves in boxes too.
Yes, we do,
Yeah.
and so I think that if you look at it that way, when you start looking at it a different way and talking to yourself a different way and understanding everything in a different way, then I think that kind of gets rid of that fear. Oh, and then my father also was a great track and field, was a high jumper and runner himself, and he would
Yeah.
always complain, he's like, "I always came in second, but I was good." What he does talk about is, this is part of our family history, this is who we are, and so I think that if there's something out there that people want to do. The reason why I have the rise theory, and the one part of the rise theory I talk about is researching yourself. Ask your family about your family history. Ask where you think these ideas might be coming from, because you may have somebody, it may not be your immediate parents or grandparents, but it could be somebody in your family tree that like loves the things that you love. My mom and my dad, they got a house built, like a shell of a house built. They worked really hard to have what they have, and we started in a smaller house in Missouri, and they decided that they wanted a bigger house because, you know, they worked hard and they saw this new neighborhood being built. And so they basically, what they did is they bought the basic bones of a brand new home. What they would do while that home was being built is my dad would go over there and he would study what like the shelving and the way they put the wood together and how they built out the kitchen. He went over every day after work or on his lunch hour. He studied. He watched these men build this in the other homes, not his home, but the other homes. Then what he would do is he would go out to the hardware store, and he just every other month or every month he'd build something in that house. And so now when people go into this home, they think it's this big luxurious home, but he took time to like, you know, get the materials, watch the men build it, on either TV or at the other homes, the model homes is what I'm trying to say. And then he would take the materials and he would put them in his home, and he built everything himself. And then what my mom would do is she would go out and she would get all the different magazines, and she would also study the model homes, and then she would go buy the fabric, and then she would make the drapery, and she'd make the cushioning for the chairs, and they'd find antique
Yeah.
furniture and they would decorate it. And that's how they built their home. And so, um, when we're
Most
building
successful DIY project I've ever seen in my life.
exactly. And we are
Yeah.
benefiting from the things that they put together. So when my dad
Yeah.
tells me he hired somebody to do something, we're like, "What? You didn't do it
Mhm.
you didn't do it yourself?" So, so I always encourage people to like really research themselves and find out where this stuff is coming from. I remember when I decided to really get into the wellness industry, and I was so afraid. Like, I'd been a personal trainer before and I taught classes before, but to sit and talk about wellness, I was really scared to do. And it was your sister Mariana who encouraged me to like train the parents while we're at soccer practice, and then and help this person lose weight and help this person with, with their goals. And so that's how it started. And but when I had to really decide to put it out there, it's like having another kid. It's your baby, like your music is your baby, and you're just afraid to put it out there. I was watching some old videos that I had done when I was back in California, when I started doing the whole rise theory and I wrote the book. And I was so nervous. I was like, because
Mhm.
I was afraid that people wouldn't really accept it. And now everyone's talking about wellness and everyone's trying to figure out how to get on the bandwagons. It's just, you just have to put yourself out there. This podcast is putting me out there. I love creating the podcast. I love doing the social media marketing. I love doing it all. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'm just going to do what I love and what makes me happy. And if people gravitate to it, fantastic. If people don't, I'm still going to sleep just fine because I'm just doing what I love to do. So yeah, so we were talking about these empowerment series, and basically empowerment is basically like becoming stronger and more confident in the goals that you're setting for yourself. So what can you leave with us today, Nia, that will empower our listeners until our next episodes?
Yeah, I feel like it's just to be kind to yourself when you're setting goals. I think looking back, I think when you look back on previous years, you'll see like the growth or the change over time. And you'll be like, wow, like I was really grateful for that person that I was, or
Mhm.
I was really grateful for that time period or whatever because I learned this or because I learned this. So like I feel like to just remember that like who you are right now and where you are right now is like you're no different than than you were before. There's still just as much room for improvement and for growth, and this time is just as valuable as any other time. So like don't rush it, be kind to yourself, set like attainable goals, and yeah, and always have multiple plans. Okay, if this doesn't work out, this is my plan B, this is my plan C. Because I think the path isn't always linear and you kind of have to be prepared for things to change. But yeah, just be kind to yourself and um yeah, no, like, things take time sometimes, but it's worth
And if
it.
you don't mind me adding to that, yes, be kind to yourself, but what I
Yeah.
always tell my girls, no matter what they're dealing with in their life, there's nothing wrong with you. You are who you
She says
are
that all the time.
all the time. There's nothing wrong
There's
with you.
nothing wrong with you.
And
It's actually really good advice.
what I mean by
A
that
lot of
is that
people wanna
yeah, and what I mean by that is that you're perfectly yourself. Like, if you're
Yeah.
you, you're perfectly you. So, just think about that for a minute, and then whatever it is that you want to enhance in your life or improve in your life, yes, let's take the steps. Let me be your partner and help you get there. But right now, I don't care if you think you're fat, overweight, ugly, too light, too dark, too short, too tall. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. So just wipe the tears away or wipe the negative talk away. Just get rid of it and look at yourself in the mirror. And as corny as this sounds, tell yourself, there is nothing wrong with me. I might want to make this change, change, and this change, but there's nothing wrong with me. So let
Yeah.
me just start clean, you know? And then also to know that if you mess up today, God willing, there will be a tomorrow. You can start all over again.
Yeah.
All right.
It's true.
So, on that note, everybody, I hope you enjoyed our empowerment episode. And until next time, keep rising. Bye. Hey, thanks for tuning in. To learn more about the Risers Hub, check us out at therisershub.com or follow us on Instagram or TikTok at The Risers Hub. This podcast is meant for both education and entertainment purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, so it's crucial to consult your physician, psychotherapist, or qualified health professionals. Until next time, and as always, take care and keep rising. If you're enjoying this podcast, I would like to ask you to please subscribe, like, and share. I mean, that's what they told me to say, so can you hook a girl up? Thanks. Bye.